Hi, everyone. It's Kate Byers, founder of Corporate Women Unleashed, where we help high-achieving women and female executives achieve work-life balance without having to give up your successful career. And I'm jumping in the group today to talk about something that, for some people, this may be one of those oil and water type conversations. Some people may watch this video and just immediately want to sort of like, I don't get it, or maybe it makes you angry or whatever, and that's fine. But this is really, really important for you guys to understand if you're trying to achieve work-life balance. One of the biggest factors that's holding you back, this is what held me back for years and years and years. And I want to make sure that everyone understands this. Now, the first thing I want to say, since I'm broadcasting to a group of thousands and thousands of people, is that when I talk about work-life balance, I'm not talking about how to get just a little bit more time at the end of your day, to spend more time with your kids. I'm not talking about, how to find a boss that you really like, who's a better boss to work for. I mean, there's a lot of ways to, define work-life balance. What I am specifically talking about, what the work-life balance that I talk about when I talk about it is, how do I navigate my life, not just my career, but my life, so that I can live the life that I want now, not have to put it off to retirement, which means I have the time, the headspace, the energy to work on having an amazing relationship with my husband. Not just a good relationship, not just a relationship where we kind of like hang out, but where it's like, wow, this guy like completely lights my fire. This is someone who I enjoy being with and someone I spend time with every week working towards the next level of joy in our relationship. It's where we get to be hands-on moms, where we get to actually, if you have children, that you're spending time with your kids and it's the fun stuff, the quality stuff, not the just like go to your homework stuff. It's just being in control, whatever that is. It means that you can be fit and you can take care of your health and you can go to the doctor when you want to and you can work out and you can have mental health. It means that you can work and do great, amazing work that you love with a paycheck that pays the bills, that you're happy with, and that provides opportunities for your family, right? So this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about work-life balance. Sorry, I'm sitting in my backyard and the sun's like baking me. I hope you guys can still see me. I'm talking about control. I'm talking about freedom, okay? I'm talking about where work no longer dictates your life. You dictate your life, okay? And the myth is that women need to lean in, and we need to have these very powerful careers, very successful careers. We need to be breadwinners. We need to be executives. We need to be high achievers, whatever it is. Like, come on, women, it's possible. Come on, girls. Lean in. But, oh, by the way, nobody's going to tell you how to really be authentic to all the other things in your life you want. Where are you going to find space to work out? Where are you going to find space to be with your kids the way you want to be? Where are you going to find space to be with your husband the way you want to be, right? Where are you going to find space to just manage all that workload as you continue to climb up the ladder? No one teaches us how to do that. They talk to us about being better leaders and, you learn all this stuff at work about how to, better hire people, fire people, all that stuff, which is great. But it's not talking about how you can manage a fulfilling life along the way, okay? And this was the piece that I was so committed to figuring out because I was so frustrated that the myth is either, okay, I have to lean in, which means I've got to sacrifice the things in life I want that make me feel good just for the career, which is one piece of my life that makes me feel good. But there's all these other things like my children and I was single for a long time. I wanted to date and I could never find time. And, how do you find time for that and have this audacious career that's so meaningful to you? The other myth is, oh, wait, you just had babies. Okay, so take some time, step back, go enjoy motherhood for a while. You can always come back to your career later. That's ridiculous because what we're saying is, women, you deserve a seat at the table. Like, there's no reason that the guys should be able to come and go at will and we can't, right? And so this is an endemic issue in our culture right now, guys. This is not just, again, give me some hacks to better manage my time. That is not what we're talking about. We are talking about women do not understand because we are not taught how to hold a very high level position or a high stress position, a position where there's a lot of demands at work, and still come home for dinner and feel confident, feel calm, feel relaxed, and not feel guilty, right? Like this is important. Okay. So here's what I wanted to share with you today. First of all, so if you're on board with me, and that's the kind of work-life balance you want freedom. You want to be able to carve out your own path in this world. You want to navigate with calm and grace your life, right? And make decisions that are best for you and your family. Here's what it takes. It takes two things very broadly, you've got to believe it's possible. And the reason this came up for me is I just got off the phone with a new client, and she said, Kate, this is so amazing what you're doing. She says, nobody tells us this is possible. She says, all of my friends, she's very high ranking in a financial institution. And so she goes, all my friends tell me, what are you doing? You've got little kids. You should quit your job, or step back. Or she says, I have friends who are like, well, how dare you leave the office early because you're in a high ranking position. You need to be the person working late and the nanny just needs to watch your kids. Right. And she's like, I'm constantly trapped between these two paradigms. And I'm like, I know that is the fallacy. That isn't what it is. It's not one or the other. It's both. There's times you're going to need to lean in, and there's times when you might want to work a little bit more. And then there's times when you need to be off every afternoon to be with your kids. Right. But this whole mindset that we have to sacrifice ourselves for a firm, or that we have to give a certain amount of time and energy to our job in order to get the paycheck, in order to deserve the seat at the table, is just BS. We have to stop that conversation, ladies. So the very first thing is you have to believe it's possible. And the reason I'm saying this is we get calls, women will say, hey, Kate, I'm burning out, or I'm feeling stressed, and they'll book a call with us. And the very first thing they do is they say, prove to me this is possible. I don't understand. Tell me how to do it. How is this possible? And I'm like, well, if you don't believe it's possible, I can't prove it to you. There's nothing I can do. It's like leading a horse to water kind of a thing. It's like, this is the water. This is what quenches your thirst. Like, do you believe that this is something that's possible? Okay, now then it's a matter of, are you committed to making it happen? So it's belief and commitment. And the reason that's so important, guys, is if you don't have those two things, like anything in life, it's not going to work for you. It just won't work. It didn't work for me for a long time because I didn't believe it was possible. I believed I was doing the right thing by putting my daughter in daycare, 11, 12 hours a day, by picking her up, spending a couple hours with her, and then going back to work for a few hours every night. Like, I believed that's what I had to do. Like, I just thought I was almost proud of that. Like, I thought that was normal. This is how I'm going to become successful. And then the other piece was, when it started to become a problem for me, when I really started saying, like, gosh, you know what? I'm giving up way too much precious time with my daughter. I'm exhausted. I'm overweight. I'm happy sometimes, but not happy a lot of times. Then it was like, I wasn't really committed. It was like, well, let me work from home a few days a week, or let me talk to my boss about getting an extra week of vacation. Or like, I kept trying to look for these small things. I wasn't shifting my mind about what was possible. I was just sort of like, let me look for some answers that might make things a little bit better. But I wasn't committed to having a life and a career that I really navigated and felt empowered to get what I wanted. I just kind of felt like, well, this is what the world is like. How can I do it a little bit better? Do you guys understand the difference between that? Because once you understand that you can craft your career and hold on to your very powerful career and enjoy it and all of the good things that it gives you, yet still make it time and home time for dinner, still go to see your kids, in the middle of the day, be relaxed when you get home, not stressed, not worried, not opening your laptop up at 9 o'clock at night. When you realize that that's possible and you decide, I want that. That is what I want. That is the freedom I want. That is the control I want. That's the empowerment I want. That is the beautiful life I want. I do not want to wait for retirement. I don't want to wake up someday and realize that the lesson that, I've been teaching my kids is work always comes first, and all these other things that are just the fallout from this. When you decide that you are committed to that, you will make it happen. Okay. And I cannot emphasize that enough. So we always say, when you're working in the world of human behavior and psychology, which we do, there's two steps to getting to a solution. One is to be interested. So we start out being interested. Hey, I'm kind of interested, give me some more information, on like, I don't know, let me think of an example, buying a new car. When you're first thinking you need to buy a new car, if you're just kind of interested in buying a new car, you kind of shop around, you look on the internet, you ask your friends, you're just interested. You just kind of collect information. But when you're committed, you just go out and buy the car. You're like, that's it. I'm done. Decision made. I'm buying a car today. And for example, this happened to me a few years ago. I didn't really have a need for a car. And then all of a sudden our life changed and I needed just like a small little, whatever, 2-door, 4-door car to like zip into town. And I knew I wanted it to be less than $20,000. And I wanted it to be a hatchback because the way I like to carry stuff. That was it. And I didn't do research. I didn't spend a lot of time. I literally just walked into our little local dealership and I was like, this is what I need. I need a 4-door car that's like 4-cylinder, gas efficient, and is a hatchback. And he showed me 2 different ones and I just bought it. Like, that was it. Decision made. I was committed to buying a car that day. I do not want to think about this decision. I want the outcome of having that car today. So let me give you an example of something where I've been interested, but I've never been committed. And sorry if this is too much information, but this is just such a great example. I have to give it to you. Years and years and years ago, so I'm always complaining to my husband about like my cellulite. I was like, I have too much cellulite. This cellulite's gross, blah, 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 right? And we've lived on the beach. I'm always in bathing suits. We're always in bathing suits. And I'm always like, oh, I need to get a tan because I don't like, the cellulite on my thighs. My husband's like, whatever, babe, it's no big deal. But for me, it's always been an issue. Always been an issue. Like since I was, I don't know, in my 20s, like always have been self-conscious about cellulite. 20 years, guys, 28 years. Oh dear God, 28 years. Okay. So last fall, the Ashley Black Guru, I don't know what her name is, all over Facebook and all these ads about the roller thing, right, is all over the place. And they're showing all these miraculous, like, people are getting rid of their cellulite. And I have like really tight IT bands and there's all these other health benefits from using this roller thing. And I'm like, oh my God, that's interesting. And so I looked at her website. I kind of looked at some of her videos. I kept coming back to it. And finally I was like, all right, I'll put it on my Christmas list. So my husband buys this thing for me. So you understand, I'm not committed. I'm interested. I have this major problem that has been a problem for me for 20 years, but I am not committed. He buys it for me. It's like, what is it? A couple $100, $159, $79. I don't know. It's not that expensive. And guess where that damn thing sits? I swear to God, it's in my bathroom, like taunting me. I've never used it. Why? I'm interested in getting rid of my cellulite, but I'm not committed. Because if I was committed, I wouldn't have it, right? I would, whatever you have to do, eat a different way. I'd, hydrate myself a different way. I'd get a nutritionist. I'd try the Ashley Black roller. I would do whatever it takes to get there because I would be committed. And the reason I want to share this with you guys is because I feel like in our culture, work-life balance is treated as a nice to have and not a need to have. And if it's a nice to have, like for me, it's nice for me to get rid of my cellulite, but it's not a need to have because it's not going to like radically change my life. If work-life balance is a nice to have, you can't get there. You can't. You will always be stuck in this mentality, this belief that it's not possible or it can just get a little bit better. And what finally got me over that hump, and I said, this just is like, I got so angry, that I had struggled for so long. I'd given up so much of my daughter's childhood, so much of my health, so much of my energy, so much of my joy in life to constantly be holding on to this place at the table. I just thought, this is so silly. There's got to be another way, and I don't care if I'm the only person to figure this out. I am going to figure this out. I'm not going to give up the career that I've worked so hard for. I'm not going to give up the income I know I'm capable of. I'm not going to give up the lifestyle that I know I'm able to provide for myself and my family. I'm not going to give up the fulfilling work to go work, at a mommy job. Not that, mommy jobs can't be fulfilling, but, I didn't want to have to knock myself down 2 or 3 levels to go do something that was less stressful, but also less challenging and fulfilling. I want to have a fulfilling, challenging career that I've studied hard for, that I've trained for, that I've gotten experience for, that I now bring very high level value to, and I want to enjoy my children and my husband and my life. That is what I want. And when I became committed to that, it happened. Do you guys understand? And that's very, very different than going like, man, it would sure be nice to have a few extra hours a week. Gosh, it sure would be cool if my boss would give me more time off. Gosh, it sure would be nice if I had a flex job. All those things are great. I'm not saying those things aren't great and they're not like steps or tools that can't, help us along the way. But it's not the same thing as having the freedom of work-life balance that you own, that you control. And what it finally took, and everyone's like, well, how do you do it? Okay, well, there's 2 steps. And I'll do another live on this. We'll do one. And what we do is we call it the science and the strategy of balance, of creating a balanced, fulfilling life. First of all, the science is your human behavior, right? We have to understand, because we don't teach this to our children and we didn't learn this. You have to understand what your biology and psychology is looking for in creating a calm, balanced life. So if you don't understand, how we're composed, the only thing we have that's telling us how to live our life is society's view of success, right? Which again, a lot of those pieces I like. I like big paychecks. I like important jobs. All that stuff's great. I'm not saying we don't have to have those things. The answer is never just simplifying. But what I'm saying is there's other pieces to that you have to incorporate beyond the success equation, and that is the psychology. You have to understand how your human behavior is wired, and that's what's going to bring you into a more fulfilling, calm, peaceful state, okay? Once you have achieved that, then what we're looking for are mindset limitations based on our society that pulls you away from that state of balance, okay? And this is all scientific. I am not talking about balanced crock pots, nannies, any of that external stuff. I'm talking about what's inside of you. When you understand, my internet's having a bad, hear me? Okay, sorry, my internet went out. So when you have this balanced state, then what we're looking for is the mindset blocks. And the mindset blocks are things like people who work hard deserve to be rich or successful. Successful people have to sacrifice. There's a lot of things in our society about hard work. If you make $1, you have to hold on to it because you may never see it again. People who care about their work will do things with a high level of accuracy. Everything I do has to be perfect. I'm the team leader, therefore I have to work harder to show to my team and set an example. Like, we just have all these stories, guys. Like, these are just like stories in our head. Sometimes that's accurate and sometimes it's not, but it's not a constant, but we believe it's a constant. So that's why we don't believe that work-life balance is possible, because nobody in our childhood said, hey, how are you going to have a balanced life when you get older? We don't ask our kids that. We say, hey, what are you going to do for a living? How are you going to make money? How are you going to be a success? Hey, how are you going to make A's in college? It's all about performance. How are you going to perform? And then all of a sudden we get to be like 35, 40, 45, and we're like, oh my God, I'm so tired of performing. When can I sit down? Because nobody's ever taught us the biology and the psychology of what we need to feel in balance, okay? Then nobody's taught us the mindset limitations that pull us off balance. So instead of doing what our body and our mind wants us to really do, to stay centered and fulfilled, we make decisions that aren't the best decisions because we have these society influences that have created these stories in our head that make us feel like, well, if you're going to deserve a seat at the table, honey, you better be working harder than the guys, or you better be showing up every morning at 8 a.m., or you better lead your team this way, or you better be the, nobody should fail, nobody should make a mistake, and all these different things that we have in our heads. So those pull you off balance. So that's the first piece, the science piece, okay? So there's kind of, I'm very broadly speaking, two aspects of it. Then there's the strategy, which no company in the world ever teaches us, because they're teaching us how to, work harder and smarter in a very traditional sense, and that just doesn't work anymore. So instead of saying things like, look, guys, we all need to focus on, people say, like, you need to work smarter than harder. Well, what does that really mean? It means not only do you have human needs that you're trying to balance, well, guess what? Everybody in the room is also trying to balance their needs. And when you can walk into a boardroom, a conference room, a team meeting, a collaborative meeting, a client meeting, whatever it is, and you can very quickly assess what everyone needs and what's going on for them, they don't need you just to do your job. They need to have their needs satisfied. And when you can speak to that, communicate to that, create action steps to help them achieve that, you become so priceless that everyone can just start focusing on the real issues at hand, not all the false stuff. Like, let's just do a bunch of work because we all feel better. Let's just try to get the checklist done. Like, in fact, almost every client I work with, we get rid of the checklist. Like, for those of you who are checklist people, I know it's so hard to believe that you could live your life without a checklist, but guys, you don't need a checklist, right? When you start understanding how to balance your life this way. So what we really teach is then new strategies. How can I walk into that boardroom and quickly assess what everyone in the room is looking for and speak to that? And that's it. That's all I have to do. I don't have to go in there and prove myself. I don't have to say smart stuff. I don't have to bring some amazing presentation that's the best thing I've ever done, unless, that's my job for the day is to present. But then I present, and I present according to what people's needs are, not to show off my talent, not to show off how smart I am, not to show how great we are. It's just like, here's the results, and I'm presenting it in a way that everyone understands based on their needs. The same thing happens. We work with a lot of women in high-ranking positions in companies that are in, fast-paced environments, toxic bosses. And not all of them. A lot of our clients actually work in very flexible situations. Their bosses are hugely supportive, but they can't shut it off up here, right? But we show you how to navigate that so that you're calm in the midst of the storm. But until you change your psychology, which is the first half of what we teach you to do, And then you're able to, if I just give you the strategies right now, you'd be like, no way, Kate, that's not going to work in my company. No, you don't understand my boss. No, you don't understand my company culture. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I really do. We've done this like, so many times, like, and it works. But until you start understanding psychology and understanding the psychology of the people you're working with, the strategies aren't going to work. And so what happens is the strategies become these very hard and fast sort of external boundaries. Like, I negotiate with my boss to get off every day at 5. Okay, that's great until your boss changes his mind, or you lose that boss, or something changes, right? Or a lot of times women will burn out and they'll just be like, they'll just check out. They'll just start leaving work early, not showing up for meetings, skipping business trips, skipping out on meetings early. Like, so what happens is because we don't understand how to manage the psychology of ourselves, as well as the strategies of managing the other people around us so they're getting their needs met and they're excited about what we're doing, and not caring if we're leaning in that day or leaning out that day, we end up just sort of like really snapping, right? And this is why women leave their jobs. They go on sabbaticals. We have a lot of women who are on burnout, or they quit their jobs. And now, of course, we're really starting to damage our income. Most of our clients who have done that, they're losing $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 of income while they're, because they've snapped and they've left their job and now they have to go find a new one. Guys, that costs money, right? It costs money. It also costs money if you're in therapy. It costs money if you're on meds. It costs money if you're seeing a therapist. Like, this thing just spirals, guys, because we feel so out of control that we feel we only have those two options. So anyways, I'm kind of rambling and I'm going on this impassioned speech, and I don't mean to like take up so much time, but the thing that you have to understand, and you have to make this decision, ladies, and we're not great at decision making when it comes to ourselves. We're really good at making a decision for everyone else around us, is what is it that you want and what's missing from your life. If you are someone that simply just needs like a part-time job right now, because you want to be home in the afternoons to be with your kids, that is fantastic. Go do that. Like, that's fantastic. I stayed home with my kids for 2 years. There's nothing wrong with stepping back. There's nothing wrong with a part-time job. There's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. That's fantastic. I did some of that myself. But if you are someone who loves their job, or needs to be in their job because you're the breadwinner of the family, or is find yourself constantly being attracted to companies that have more toxic, difficult environments, and you're tired of constantly like, why am I always doing this to myself over and over again? Those are the type of women that we work with, because the work-life balance means something very different. It means, how do I have the freedom, the autonomy, and the control to continue to do what I do really well, to make the money that I want to make the contribution that I want to make, and still be mom, or still be wife and lover, or still be friend, or still be healthy and fit. And that piece, you have to believe it's possible. You may not know how. You don't have to know how. You have to believe it's possible. And you have to be committed, totally committed to making it happen. And when you have those two things, then it's just simply a matter of like taking the steps and getting there, right? And that's something we can help you do, or, whatever works for you. I'm not here to like sell you. I'm just saying this is what it takes. You have got to be really honest with yourself. And if that scares you, that's fine. Most of our clients are scared. But if it's what you want and you're committed, you can't just want it. A lot of women want this, guys, and you're committed to making it happen, then you will make it happen, right? And in fact, we don't even enroll women into our program unless they are committed. Because if someone comes into the program doubting and they're like, yeah, I don't know, Kate, is this really going to work? Like, we can have that conversation, and I want everyone to feel obviously confident and comfortable with what we do. But you can't come into what we do and start changing your psychology and start changing how you behave if you're doubting the entire time, if we're having to prove to you the entire time, if we're having to argue with you the entire time. Like, that's just not going to work. And we do get women on the phone sometimes who just want to argue with us and challenge, and it's just like, I love you to pieces. Join my free Facebook group, stay on my email list, but we can't help you. You have to be committed, and you have to believe it's possible for you. And guys, it is. It is. We have to change the conversation that women are having in corporate America. You don't just have to lean in and sacrifice. You can lean in, and you can be the woman that you need to be in your personal life. You can enjoy the spoils of your success. So with that being said, I hope this is helpful for those of you who this applies to. And if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. I'll be happy to come back and answer those. Leave a like, a thumbs up. I can't remember, whatever it is with Facebook. And, and just let me know that you're watching, because that helps too. So I can do more of these and make sure that, I'm giving you guys the content that you want to hear as well. So everyone have a great day. I'm going to go back to a phone call, and then my day is ended. So see you guys soon. Bye.